Well, today the Queensland Government set up a commission of inquiry to report back in a year on the state's handling of this vast crisis, looking at preparations, warnings and response. Meanwhile, the massive task of cleaning up the capital is well underway. John Taylor reports from Brisbane.
In flood-ravaged Brisbane, the River City now looks more like the Rubbish City. Interim rubbish dumps now dot the suburbs. From here, the rubbish will later be moved to landfill sites out of town. These are the saddest mountains some residents have seen, full of once valued possessions.
It breaks my heart, but I know that we're better off than a lot of other people. We didn't lose anybody.
Paula Eggers is slowly but steadily adding to her mountain. Water nearly went to the downstairs ceiling of her western suburbs rental property. Saving it means stripping it.
There wasn't any point in keeping any of this, even the roofs, the lower roofs. It was just bowed, and we can't open some of the doors, they're still swollen. But yeah, we just had to pull it all off. It came off very easily though, it was just like ripping wet paper apart, so.
Thousands of homeowners in Brisbane are facing this same future.
I'm in a fortunate position where my family are in a position to help me get this rebuilt as fast as possible, but I know a lot of people aren't going to be in that boat, and it's a matter of trying to find the money and...
One size, I know.
I might get my hands in here, you take those. Oh, sorry.
What flood victims do have is the sympathy and support of their fellow citizens. On the weekend, many thousands of volunteers, armed with shovels, brooms and buckets, were marshalled by the City Council.
We're both from Toowong and we weren't affected, so we both wanted to help out and do what we can.
It would be impossible to just sit there and do nothing when you know the devastation.
They swept through the filth and muck en masse, helping hands for people still in shock. And many were overwhelmed by the generosity of spirit.
I've got lots of volunteers and everyone's helping me, and I just can't thank people enough, really.
The city's heart is also slowly beating again. Offices and workplaces in the CBD are reopening, but not all.
We're only 2 years old, so we have all the plans, so we're good to go. And really, we pressed the go button this morning, so we're well into it. She says bravely.
On the Brisbane CBD riverfront, restaurateur Lizzie Lowell has mixed feelings about the Brisbane River.
There were lines of mirrors and so that you could reflect the river, but we don't want to look at the river today. We'll be friends with it again in a week or so.
Queensland's flood crisis is, however, unprecedented in its scale and scope. Many have been left bewildered about how and why at least 20 people are dead, why tens of thousands of homes across the state have been flooded, and why some people weren't given more warning.
People have legitimate questions, and those questions, in my view, require a comprehensive and rigorous examination of all of the factors surrounding these events.
The Premier Anna Bligh today announced that a commission of inquiry will attempt to provide the answers.
This commission of inquiry, in my view, is absolutely critical to us understanding, firstly, the community preparedness and, importantly, the emergency response. We need to learn the lessons of this event so that we can protect ourselves better in the future.
The commission starts today and is headed by an appeals court judge. This is to be a forensic examination, transparent and independent, releasing an interim report in August and a final report in January next year.
Some of these issues are life and death issues, and I want to make sure that Queenslanders know the answer to some of the questions that they are rightly asking as early as reasonably possible.
Well, they're the same spirit, so that's a great thing. Yeah, thank God.
Federally, a shake-up to the insurance industry is also looming. The Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, was today inspecting flooding in Victoria. But she says her ministers have met with insurance industry leaders And her government is considering a standardised definition of flood and flood damage.
But the issue for now is how claims from these flood events are going to be treated, and my message to the insurance industry would be to show the same kind of spirit the people of Australia have been showing as they've really pulled together in these very difficult circumstances.
But the flood crisis that has come to grip more than 80 Queensland communities since Christmas is far from over. Communities and people are still cut off. Rivers are roaring and bodies are still to be found.
We owe it to those people who have lost loved ones and those who have lost their lives to honour their memory by learning the lessons of this flood.
John Taylor with that report.